Hello, it's Catherine, and let's see, I'm a little bit sleep deprived today, and there's some more teaching videos I want to do and some channeling stuff, but I don't feel like it's the right time, so I thought I'd just talk to you about current events. I haven't really mentioned current events. I mean, the obvious, of course, is the global pandemic. If you're watching this video fresh, that's the word on the street. But yeah, let's do it. So, I guess when this first came to the US, I was hopeful, it was like, wow, this really highlights, the disparities in the economy and, really shows the glaring problems in our healthcare system and so forth. And so maybe it's a blessing in disguise and an opportunity for us to really, meaningfully change some of our systems. And I don't really feel that way anymore. That didn't last very long, actually. I don't feel very hopeful about systemic change in the short term, but I do feel hopeful about people changing. Um, I don't know about you folks, but I've heard a lot of people talking about things like, I hear people saying that they feel really in touch with their spirituality, people who didn't typically feel connected with, deities, or they didn't really have messages or visions coming to them, and now they've had these experiences, or they had been meaning to meditate but not getting around to it, right? So they're doing that now. People who are spending a lot of time at home with their families or with themselves. And I know that brings up anxiety, but I think, when those troublesome feelings come up, I just say that's purification, or, maybe it's purifying in your own self, or maybe it's purifying in the collective. But at any rate, when those feelings come up, I try to just recognize them as something that's moving through me and something that does me and everyone around me some good. So maybe you can look at it that way too and see if it helps you get through difficult times. And of course, the downside of people staying home with their families is that they fight more, or the very down low side is you're hearing more like domestic violence news, right? So it's never something that we want to hear, but even in that case, my prayer is that people who are in a toxic domestic violence type situation can see, okay, wow, this person I'm with is really showing their true colors, and maybe now is finally the time for me to end this situation. And maybe sometimes an extreme experience is what you need to kind of be pushed through a stuck place. So pray for those people that if it's right, it's part of their path, that they can move through and move on. Just domestic squabbles, I think that those are very healthy. I'm always skeptical of people who say that they don't fight in their relationship. I just wonder, what's the point? Well, what are you helping each other achieve? Some kind of, I don't know, mediocrity and sameness. But I I feel good about, those experiences when you really stir the pot and get in it with each other and break on through to the other side. I think that that is very positive and healthy and good for relationships, good for yourself, and again, good for the collective. So blessings to people who are struggling with the domestic squabbles as well. I have a big time hope about homeschool. I think homeschool is a great route. It's what I hope to do someday if I'm lucky enough to have the time, the resources to provide that for my child or children. I think a lot of people are at home with their kids, and some of them really hate it, of course, but I'm hoping that some of them are realizing, I thought that I couldn't pull off homeschool, but maybe I could make it work. And maybe, maybe a one size fits all approach to my children isn't actually serving them, and maybe we can do something that can actually help them learn in a way that they enjoy and that's tailored to them, and that they can grow in all kinds of ways, and they don't have to be on a specific schedule. They can actually follow their own rhythms, and that in itself is conducive to learning and to just becoming the people that we want these kids to be, that we need them to be. So I'm hopeful about that. I'm hopeful about, I feel like a lot of employers are being shown that their employees are capable of working from home. And maybe there was some skepticism about that before, but people commuting, sometimes people commute, if you're living in a really traffic congested area, commute 1 or 2 hours back and forth. If you live in New York City and you're riding the trains, this is packed highways, packed trains. It's very stressful. It's hard on the environment, on the air. It uses fossil fuels, non-renewable fossil fuels, and it's draining for people who would otherwise be spending that time with their families, with their kids, on themselves, in meditation, doing creative work, something like this. But they're not doing that because they're in their car in traffic. Maybe the best case scenario is they're listening to some interesting music or podcast or something, and just like trying to get through that. But hopefully some employers are really recognizing, like, okay, some of these people are terrible at working at home by themselves, but some of them are really thriving this way, and maybe I can offer that to them, and do a good service to them, to the company, to nature, by just facilitating this, even if it's only part of the week or something. So hopefully some more working from home. Um, yeah, I've heard from people also that they've done more creative work since they've been home. They're kind of like looking at, and that's the whole thing. It's like, this is a time for people to say, what am I doing? Is this what I want to be doing? Is this where I want to be? We've got this Saturn conjunction, right? It's like the planets have started to go direct. So, from what I understand, it's around April the planets start to go direct, and this sort of intense time period that those of us who follow astrology weren't that surprised when something really wild and challenging came up at this time. So this comes up, and it's been really hard, and then it goes direct around April and continues going direct all the way up until September. So we have this window that's like, okay, we had this big reality check. What are we doing with our lives? And how are we dedicating ourselves? How are we helping each other, helping the world, serving nature? What can we do different to make our lives more aligned with our purpose and who we want to be, what we want to be doing? So this is the time, because those planets are going to go retrograde again in September, and then we've got, we don't know what's going to happen, but there's like flu season coming back around. Maybe this pandemic is going to spike again. There's, of course, in the U.S. elections that are happening, and if they happen, I'm kind of skeptical that they'll actually happen, but um, that's that whole situation could be very challenging for people again. So it's like, get to where you want to be, set that up for yourself now. You have this window, and I don't believe we all need to be working toward the same goal. I think that we're all, called in different ways, but at least right now we can, it's a little bit quieter, and maybe we can hear that calling a little bit better. um, Yeah, I know people are afraid of sort of this like Trump supporter, red hat, right wing militia kind of situation, and I'm susceptible to that fear too. I had a dream recently that there was a commercial on TV that was encouraging. It was basically like the actor who plays Dudley Dursley in the Harry Potter movies was asking someone, some kind of higher up, if it was okay for him to kill liberals, and the guy was like, it's not really okay, but if you do it, you'll get away with it. We're basically condoning that, you'll get away with it if you do it. And then, like later on, I was walking down the street, and a truck. It's like always people in trucks, I guess, in my mind. A truck swerved as if to like scare me, to spook me, and I kind of walked away from that situation like, wait a minute, is it because of that commercial? Like people are emboldened to do this kind of stuff. So that's like indicative of how that fear is reaching me even on like a subconscious level. And who knows, that dream I'm sure has several layers. But um I don't know. I was thinking, so they're in their trucks with their gigantic American flags and they don't want to be at home with themselves and they want to like tailgate you and stuff. It's like these people, they just want closeness. They want to tailgate you because somehow they want to be close and this is the best that they can do. And they want to be out in the world because being at home with themselves is anxiety provoking, and they're not ready to do that deep purification work, that is not comfortable for them. But really they want to feel safe, they want to feel warm, they want to feel held and loved, and they don't know it, and they don't know how to show it, and we can all empathize with that, I think. Do they really think that Trump is some kind of really wonderful savior type? I don't know. Probably not. I think probably not. I think probably they think that he's a good troll king because he's willing to just f everything up, and they think that that's cool, and so they're like, yeah, he will be a good leader for us for a time, and he makes liberals really mad, and we really don't like liberals because they're so self-righteous and they look down on us and think that we're stupid and think that they know everything, even though they often like don't really live in the real world. They're in like academia and so forth, and so you can kind of understand that sentiment, and I don't know, it makes sense to me. So try to spread some compassion around to those folks too, and hope that their wish for closeness and warmth and love and healing and all that is met. Okay, so that's all, and yeah, more videos about channeling, about spiritual healing, coming your way when I feel the time is right. Okay, so have a good week, and please subscribe, comment, like, and I'll see you soon.